Breaking through barriers, expanding career potential, transforming executives and business owners into emerging leaders. Welcome to Notable Leaders Radio. Here's your host with over 25 years experience guiding others in personal fulfillment and professional success, advisor, coach, and consultant, Belinda Prine.
Welcome to today's episode of Notable Leaders Radio, where I will be speaking with Ryan Harbinson, talent manager at Robert Half, staffing and recruiting, finance and accounting. Ryan is going to share some of the big life lessons that he has experienced throughout his life and how they have assisted him in creating what I call a robust life and career. And after you hear from him, you'll say the same, I'm sure. He has more than 15 years of marketing and sales experience under his business development belt. Love that. Thank you. As a former COO, he has built a large network throughout the country in every category. But if you want to bottom line him, here we go. Connector, husband, never a bad day, games in any form, go-giver, yay, Ryan, shaking hands and building brands. His full bio is in the show notes. Be sure to go there to check it out. But I want to welcome you, Ryan. I'm so excited to share your story here today.
Hey, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm really excited as well. So thanks so much.
You'll see he has no energy. He's not energetically like me at all. No, this is going to be a fun episode. And I've really enjoyed and appreciated learning more about you and your perspective and approach on building your best life. So I just want to jump in and share some of those stories and insights that you have used.
All right, let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah, all right. So you've talked about failure, right? That you have an interesting perspective on your viewpoint on failure. Before I ask you to define it, though, where did you come from? What was the life lesson that you experienced that informed the way you look at failure?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I mean, I feel like let's talk about what it is and how we got there, right? So I think people are afraid to fail, right? I embrace it because it just means that one of the 85 things that you're trying didn't work out, and now we're going to go to the next one, right? I think the key to it too is not to make the same mistakes twice, as much as you can, right? Because that's what slows down your growth. For me, I've kind of been a lone wolf for the majority of my career. Had not really mentors, people that helped me out on my journey, but no one that was really there to kind of do the whole thing for me. So a lot of my abilities was learning how to fail and how to make those mistakes. And really it comes into one of the many mantras that I have, which is adapt or die, right? I mean, it really is the way to go. You have to figure out, what's going on, write down the things that need to be done, figure out what works, what doesn't, trial by error, and then continue on. And the more that you do these things, the faster, a lot of the obstacles in your life, I feel like, get done faster because you already know what the outcome's going to be if you go down a certain road.
Yeah. I saw something online the other day, and it did not have an author who authored the quote, but it says, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. And when I read that, I went, oh my gosh, that is what Ryan is talking about. Would you agree?
Totally.
Am I on mark? Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's all part of it's all part of it.
Yeah, it's how we respond to what's there, right?
There's no need for frustration in those situations, right? That's part of what keeps people down is they get frustrated, and you got to realize is that a lot of people give up. And if you're just one of those people that doesn't give up and keeps going, eventually you're going to win.
So did you always have that kind of spunk in you that said,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it?
I mean, it goes back to the early days of, cutting lawns and raking leaves and shoveling driveways at like 13 and 14, just trying to figure out what's going on. I always had, 2 jobs, working, classic McDonald's during the day and then bussing tables at night at like 16, riding my bike to where I need to go and just putting the time in, learning from all the experiences. I got a lot of my kind of, I guess, customer service and outgoingness in the early days of retail, which I think
Ah,
a lot of people sleep on. I worked big box, small store retail, working in the game scene for many years. Old school Funko Land, if for anybody out there that remembers that, which turned into GameStop at some point. You know,
uh-huh.
I I worked a lot of that. So I worked at Sam Goodies, and I worked at Sam's Club, and I've worked at all these Hollywood Video, Game Crazy, running the store. So as I continued my retail career, I became management. I was making schedules, I was hiring, firing people. So I was slowly developing that techniques, but the retail element really helped me learn how to work with people and how to find customers. And you create almost a book of business when you're in the retail space. You have regulars, right? I mean, I was in the beer space and the wine space for a long time as well too. So I was a beer manager running there, and I had people that came in all the time looking for different like situations or suggestions. And when those people come in and they're like, "Hey, you really helped me out. Thanks so much." They're your customer now.
Hmm.
So it's identifying how your career can start. And I feel like people sleep on the sales and the customer service aspect of how great retail is in the early days of your career.
I tell you what, I love that. Sincerely. It's you're not dialing in your job. You're doing your job with great commitment and curiosity
Hmm.
and strategy, right?
And you're working with a team too, right? So
That's
like if
true.
you're the closing manager and the opening manager walks into a disaster, it's your fault that maybe the receipts weren't put away right, or the store wasn't properly done as the closing options were, and all that stuff.
Hmm. So I'm loving getting to all this. I've also heard you talk about asking for help. And you're like, what was it that had you realize that asking for help was not a weakness, quite the opposite?
Well, I mean, there's people in a certain fields and certain uh, knowledge that have better understanding of situations than you do, right? I mean, there's a reason that they create boards in nonprofits.
Mhm.
Okay. Like, I don't want to be in charge of what the legalities look like in the law space because I don't really know how it all works. I mean, I could figure out maybe some of it,
Right.
but why would I not bring in someone that can do that? Right. So why am I not going to reach out to those people for help, create relationships with those people? And now I know from what they did to help me out is now I can utilize them as a resource to make introductions to them to help grow their business.
Hmm. So, what prevented you from asking for help prior to this, like, aha moment?
Well, I mean, the same reason everybody else is. They feel, maybe a little shamed, a little embarrassed. They can't figure it out themselves. But, as I continue to kind of develop relationships with people, it kind of is, it helps those people also feel like they are like an industry leader in that too, that you would come to them and seek their guidance as well. And can I tell you, it's created really good friendships over the years with people because
Mhm.
of it.
Well, one of the things that I appreciated about you is your relationships are not transactional. They're
No.
lifetime connections. They're
Oh, yeah.
connections
I
that
mean,
are
I mean,
meeting.
I think we don't realize this, right? Is that the majority of people that you're in the business space with, right? You're going to see them more than the majority of your family most times.
Right.
Okay.
True.
And what happens is that when you're younger and you're coming into that biz dev role, or like an entry level or junior level role, right?
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
happens is that you will continue to see and grow with these people. And after a 10-year gap or so, which is kind of where I'm at now, people have gone from entry to junior to, you know, C-suite and vice presidents levels. Now I can make those calls on those people that most people cannot do
Right.
because I'm friends with them. I have relationships with them. I was on boards with them. I was in committees with them.
Mhm.
So like somebody from a financial institution that runs the whole state is very hard to get in touch with. I can text that person. Hey,
Right.
what's going on? Let's do coffee tomorrow. I can't do and there's opportunities there. So when you transition into new jobs, from one point of your career to the next, it's easier to re-educate the people that you've already developed at the last position that you were at to help grow your network, your reach, and then re-educate your network on what it is that you're now doing.
Okay. So again, where did this insight come from within you? I mean, was it a friend, a family member, but you have, excuse me, a real drive for connection. I mean, you say relationships are paramount. We're learning where that statement comes from with you. But were you 16? Were you 22? I mean, I don't know. But because there's a stick-to-itiveness to you that has served you well, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to nail down. I mean, it was a slow, evolved over time. And it's because it's kind of just become part of me, right? So I have many mantras in my life, and one of my big ones is low and slow, patience over greed. That's the name of the game, right? I want to, for every 10 gives that I put out there, I get an ask, right? So it's very easy for me to get those asks if I even want to cash them in, because I mean, it's a cliche now because everyone is so like on the board, but it really is giving with no expectation. And I really, truly don't have expectation. I want to help people grow. And I hope that when they think of whatever they need and whatever I do and or work for, they think of me. Right. And that's just the way it is. And we talked about this in the green room earlier.
Yes.
And part of it is like, when I'm talking to like people that are maybe potential clients, that could be somebody, and we have a conversation and I like to educate them on what I do. I'm never really selling to people. I want people to know what it is that we offer and some of the stress that we can take away right here. But part of it too is like, if they're not interested, I already know by the research that I've done before our meeting who they work for, what they do, on who I want to connect them with, because it just makes sense for them to help grow their network. Right. So like I'm out here in the Philadelphia area, right? So I have a large network in South Jersey, mid New Jersey, the King of Prussia, which is kind of a suburb city of Philly, and then down low into Delaware. And like that is my core group of where everybody else is. But I can connect you with other people in other states. If I know you're in Chicago, I'm like, hey, I got 4 or 5 Chicago people that not really relevant to your industry, but they're really good networkers and they're always looking to meet new people. And it might make sense for you guys to meet. And that's it. And it's just, there's no point of it where it actually was, I can pinpoint it. But once you start doing it and you're realizing it, that instead of hard selling people, I'm just going to help people out and the business will come. You just have to be patient and let the crops grow is really what it comes down to.
In your bio, which the full is in the show notes, you mentioned that you're a go-giver. Now, my number one book is The Go-Giver by Bob Berg and John David Mann. So I asked you, are you a go-giver like the Go-Giver book, and you said yes, which made my heart smile because it is such an amazing book. And I'll make sure links are in the show notes that y'all could get it.
Oh, if you haven't read it,
isn't it? It's a game changer. And what I appreciate is, you want to meet them. So there's a reason you want that connection, but you go in with the heart of, well, what can I do to help make things better for them in any way, shape, form, or style? Can you give us 2 tips on networking that would help somebody who's uncomfortable with it, or help the person that doesn't realize this is not transactional and I don't go in there to get something for me, right? 2 areas I hear a lot.
All right, well, let's go. We'll do since the hybrid model is so popular these days. We're gonna go in person and digital. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
So I think the first thing you need to do on the in-person side is figure out where, and this is really as a whole, is where does your audience live, right? Who are the people that you're trying to get involved with, and where do they go? Right. So if you don't have a network or you have a small network, I feel like it breaks down kind of into 4 categories, right? So you have like town chambers, associations, organizations. Then you have like county chambers, okay, associations. Then you have like regional, and then you have state, right? So that's kind of the way you can go. And then in between all of those are industry specific things. So whatever industry you're in, type in your industry, networking, and your city, And I guarantee you there's something like the Association of Caregivers of Southern Alabama. They probably have a group somewhere. They're out there, right?
Yeah.
So part of that is you join this group, you can always get a free a free pass to check out the event, right? And the first thing you have to realize is that the people that are running the organization are extremely excited that you've chosen their organization to come to, right? So utilize that. If you're a little introverted and you'll walk into a room and you kind of don't know anybody, there's two easy ways to do it. Always look for someone that either works for the organization or wears a badge, an ambassador or somebody like that, and be like, spill your guts. That's what I tell everyone. Spill your guts. Hi, it's my first time here. I don't know anyone. And they'll go, oh my God, how did you hear about us? Welcome to the event. We'd love to have you. Let me show you around.
Sure.
It's a great way to do it. The other way to do it is that the majority of people in the organization will most likely know each other. So look for a group of 3 to 4 people. And now this is a little bit more, it takes a little bit more guts to do this, but 3 or 4 more people and kind of just linger a little bit. And when they stop talking, just kind of be like, hey guys, I just sorry to interrupt, but I don't really know anybody. So I just wanted to say hello. And they'll go, how'd you hear about us? So glad to have you. What can I do to help you? And it's a great way to kind of get into those organizations. So that's a great way to go, right?
Yep.
And make sure you have cards. And when you get cards, what I like to do in the early days of those organizations is I leave the event and I email everybody in my car. Great meeting you. Let's set up a time to meet. And people are like, wow, this person is crazy, right? So the other side of the coin is online, right? So it's the same thing. What's our platform of choice? Because we're trying to integrate ourselves into communities, right? Content is king, engagement is queen. It's the name of the game, right? We want to, the algorithms are all in favor right now of you living in the comments. Comments of comments on comments of comments are the best, right? So what we want to do is we want to utilize the network that we already have. And before we even reach out to anybody new, we want to stick on who we have, right? So I always say, if you're on LinkedIn, the content that you're putting out there needs to be relevant to the people that are part of your community, that are either your customers or people you want to be your customers. So go through your connections, take a little bit of time. If you don't know the face, unfriend them, because you're wasting your content on people that aren't relevant to your business or your network or your community, right? The other thing you do is you just integrate your activity on LinkedIn. The easiest way to start doing this without having to think of content and continue to grow what your content calendar looks like and what you're putting out there and all this, just like, share, and comment on everybody else's stuff, right? Utilize other people's content as your own. It's the name of it. It's how it works. If I shared your stuff, right, and we were friends, but all of a sudden I liked your post, I commented on your post, and then I looked at the comments and I was commenting on other people that were in there, and then I shared your thing out and I wrote a little something, this is a great episode, check out this online, boom, and I shared that out. Now all of a sudden, everybody that is integrated into that post that's liked, comment, or shared is getting a notification of the activity that I did in the post.
Right.
And what I want to do is I want to take everybody from ice cold to lukewarm and drive them to my page. So then I can go into my views and see who actually has viewed my page. And then maybe I shoot them a little message or I give them a call. And I'm like, hey, Dave, what's going on? And that's like, hey, man, that's so weird. I was just thinking about you. I know, because you were on my page.
Yeah. Oh, so many things that I could comment on with the networking. I was always... All right, as soon as you make 3 meaningful connections, then you can go have that glass of wine. Or, if I had a networking event and it was a 2-hour networking event, the next day I had 2 hours on my calendar to do follow-up. You did it in the car. There you go.
And I think part of it too, if I can just throw one more thing on there, right, is as you develop and you grow this network, the goal is to kind of develop 2 categories, right? So you have your core 6 and your squad. Okay, so your core is your people that are integrated into your transaction. Every time that you have a sale, there's like 6 people or so that can benefit from this new customer because you've created them, and it's easy introductions, and it's a 2-way street of opportunities for new clients. That's a great way to start. The other one is your squad. These are people that you're friends with, that you've developed relationships with, that maybe you have a text chain and your industries are completely not in sync at all, but they're really good people. They have meaningful networks, and they always want to meet new people. So if you're stuck in a rut, all you got to do is develop like 4, 5, or 6 good relationships with people. And in the early days of growing the network, just lean on those people as opportunities all the time to make introductions. Because even if you don't have anybody that's relevant in a possible person that you want to become a client, right? You can introduce them to your squad, and it's like, wow, look at this person helping me out, and it's helping them grow. And here we go. It's just this constant friend of a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah. Gosh, so many things. You'll have to come back because it's a lot of content here. But a question: were you an introvert or an extrovert as a kid?
Oh yeah, I was definitely not introverted at all. So
No.
I was the
Okay.
kid when I was like 4 years old saying hello to everybody and all that, I was that guy.
Okay. Just check it, because your energy is contagious. Your passion for what you're talking about is contagious. It's really lovely. But in honor of our time commitment to you and to our listeners, what's the one thing you want to make sure our listeners walk away with today?
So I would say the one thing is it takes time.
Mm.
Low and slow, patience over greed is the name of the game, right? You can't just post things online and then expect to get 10,000 views on a post all the time. It's all about being part of the community that is relevant to the industries or where you want to be a part of, and shining in that group.
Amen, brother. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so I close out each episode with rapid fire questions.
Okay,
You ready?
go ahead. Let's go.
All right. So what's been the most challenging part of your journey to success?
I would say developing that patience. In the very beginning days, it was very hard and dissatisfying when we were doing things and it didn't work out. We were in a startup company in the early days when I was in my early 20s, and it was frustrating. But that really, because of that situation, is who I am today.
Love it. What's been your biggest breakthrough to success on your journey?
Biggest breakthrough. It's kind of a different question, because it turned into something that has been in the past. But utilizing the power of LinkedIn to get in front of the right people has really been huge. When we were a video game developer in the early 2005s, I was able to get meetings with Nintendo and Microsoft and Activision, being this small little game developer studio in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey, talking with these juggernauts in the industry in Seattle and LA. And just being able to find the right people, and doing our research on, what everyone else was doing, and being able to, look professional, even though we were a young startup.
I tell you what, if the listeners haven't picked up on strategic word, jump in now. I mean, I've done that. I have my clients come up with 25 people they want to meet over the course of 12 months.
Great.
And kind of utilizing it. And the people, they think there's no way in heck I could ever connect with them. And because of the way they approach things with the slow and low, as you call it.
You gotta stand out.
Yeah, and it's well, you show up for the long different time.
And the worst thing you can do is try to connect with those people on LinkedIn as a cold nothingness.
Oh, yeah.
They do not care.
No.
The trick is to follow them, get involved in the post and the activity that they're doing. And like I said earlier, like, comment, and share on a person that maybe is a third connection, and you're liking and commenting and sharing out their content. So what they're going to do is they're going to go, who is this person?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. And they'll look for you after a while. Well, I haven't heard from Ryan on this, Okay. What advice do you wish someone had given you when you first started out?
It takes about 2 years to develop everything, especially when you're starting a new position. Even if you have people developed, it takes 18 months to 2 years to really get all the gears moving and going and really in full stride. And it really is that. I mean, you'll have success in that first year and change, but after that 2-year mark is when it all really starts to come to full power.
And 2 years is a very optimistic number. So yay. But that you're very intentional in what you do, right? And there's benefit to that. So I don't see you as just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks. I mean, you're very strategic about what you do. All right. What's been your most valuable lesson?
Most valuable lesson. I think what a lot of it is, and I suffer from it, is you have to take breaks. And I know it sounds crazy and it's very simple, but you have to take breaks because you will burn out. I mean, I did 8 days a week for, 80 hours a week for 8 days a week for 10 years. And I was burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
And I would have stayed relevant where I was if I didn't just absolutely work myself to death. And it is important to, it doesn't have to be, the work-life balance. I don't think that's a real thing because, when you're in a certain type of company, it's like having a puppy. Like, you can't be like, sorry, puppy, I'm off the clock today. I cannot take care of you, So, but what it really comes down to is understanding when you have to be, full blown, ready to go, and when you can sit back and a little bit and relax.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
That is like from your mouth to God's ears. That is so truly important.
I mean, one of my superhero powers is that I turn my phone off for like 8 to 9 days a year when I go on vacation, and my phone is off, and I just say goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, you. I know. I have no technology weekends and things like that.
You have to.
I know. Well, I got to say, it's so helpful. We've heard you mention a couple of mantras throughout our conversation today. So is one of them, like, what's your go-to mantra? What really helps you pull yourself up? Or
yeah, I mean, my big one is it's not that hard to be a nice person.
Do you see why I love this man? Oh my gosh. That would be like a mic drop moment for me. So I tell you, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a bit of your story and your insights and strategic approach, very important, with us. And I'll nab you soon, maybe get you to come back.
Oh, I would love that. There's too many things to talk about. And
I know.
We'll read the comments if you want us to chat about anything else, right? Of course.
Yeah, totally. So look, all the ways to connect with Ryan are in the show notes. He's actually also included a link to his YouTube channel, giving you deeper insight into who this man is. And there's other podcast recordings that he's been a part of. So you've got a whole bunch of information that you can tap into there. While you're in the show notes, hit subscribe. That way you'll know when the next episode launches. And if you're up for it, share with us, what's your biggest takeaway from today? And how are you going to put that into action? Because it's not enough to get the information. How are you going to bring it to life? So with that said, I wish you big success in all you do and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Notable Leaders Radio. If you're finding value here, you can help us in bringing you more of this show by going to iTunes and leaving a rating. For more leadership resources and links to our social media, visit us online at notableleadersradio.com. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Copyright 2021 by Belinda Prine, all rights reserved.